late 90s to the 2000s were a special time for kids' websites. You'd boot up the family computer, type in a URL you memorized off the back of a toy, and suddenly you were inside your favorite show with games and videos and the whole shebang. Now what if I told you that Barney the dinosaur lost his own website to a group of nefarious domain goblins operating in a dark underbelly of the early internet? And even after months of fighting them, Barney was ultimately defeated. This is how the Barney website was compromised. Welcome to the Barney Desk. Alright, so here's some context. If you weren't alive for the Wild West internet years, you need to understand what a domain name used to mean. Back in the day, a brand's website wasn't just a social link in the bio. It was the hub to find out information on something. And for kids brands especially, it mattered because parents trusted specific URLs like they were safety doors. If you typed the official site, you expected it to be clean and curated, and parents knew that. They knew they were safe. So first launched in 1997, BarneyOnline.com was the franchise's one-stop shop, split into the kids section, the green and purple play page, and the parents area, dubbed the Parents Place. The website had everything from news updates, kid-friendly games, bios of the characters, sweepstakes and giveaways, tour dates for the ongoing Barney shows, and resources for adults. They would even dress up the website for holidays or themed months. It was wholesome, like aggressively wholesome. And here's what's important. When Barney would release merchandise like videos, toys, books, etc., they'd put that URL on the back of it as the official place to go. It was well known. It was digital real estate. The parents were hopping on the barn in the morning, you know what I mean? So that's all great. But here's what went wrong. See, you don't own a domain like you own a house. You own it like the way you own a Netflix subscription. If you stop paying, it's just gone. Say if a renewal gets missed, there's a whole life cycle a domain has to go through. Expiration, a grace period, and then something called pending delete, which basically means the domain is standing on the edge of a cliff. And when it falls, pack it up, gang. We're cooked, man. There are companies that basically live for this. So when a domain is about to become available, there's this thing called drop catching. I cannot believe this is a real thing, but it actually exists, and it's exactly what it sounds like. There are groups whose whole job is watching massive lists of expiring domains, and the second something valuable drops, they have bots that grab it faster than any human could. And the way this works behind the scenes is even grosser. It's not just one company doing one thing. According to filings and descriptions from the time, this often worked like a tag team between two companies. One side specializes in snatching the domains the instant they become available, and the other side specializes in monetizing whatever you just stole, redirecting the traffic, parking the page, flipping it, whatever makes money. It's really a lot like war profiteering. One of these companies, Campana LLC, literally described itself as scanning expiring domains with good search rankings and lots of daily hits, which is a polite legal way of saying we wait for your brand to screw up, then we grab your traffic like it's loose change on the sidewalk. So back to Barney. He was created by Cheryl Leach with the Lions Group, which grew into Lions Partnership, who was then acquired by Lyric Studios, and then by 2002 they were acquired again by Hit Entertainment. And listen here, chaps, acquiring a company and a brand like that is a lot of work, and there's a lot of transferring that needs to be done. And so there's bound to be some things that slip through the cracks. And somewhere in that chaos, BarneyOnline.com lapses. It's just gone. And you're thinking, okay, well, no biggie, let's just renew it. Except you don't understand who's standing in the bushes waiting for that moment. Because the second that domain becomes vulnerable, one of these drop catching operations scoops it up, and Barney Online is now out in the wild. The company that I mentioned earlier, Campana LLC, yeah, they had been waiting for this moment, rubbing their little grubby hands together for this opportunity. So Campana, who's the one side of the operation, quickly snatched the domain in October 2003, and then a company called Netsphere, who was the other side, ended up with it in November of 2003. And do you know what Netsphere decided to do with Barney's URL? They pointed it to a genealogy site, FamilyTreeDNA.com. So picture it, you're a parent in 2003, your kid is losing their mind like, I want to go to Barney! And so you type BarneyOnline.com in because you're doing the responsible early 2000s parenting thing. And then you get slapped with like this DNA testing website.
You are not the father.
So Lion's partnership and Hit were pissed that their prized purple pal was picked off and pushed through a preposterous ploy. So they pulled their paperwork, piled on the protection, and pursued them. What I'm saying is they sued them. I just kind of wanted to keep the alliteration going. Lions and Hit Entertainment filed a UDRP complaint through WIPO in February 2004 to try and get Barney Online transferred back. And if those words I just said mean nothing to you, here's the simple version. WIPO is the organization that hosts these big internet ownership disputes, and UDRP is basically the internet's standardized domain dispute process. To win, you have to prove all three of these things. A, the domain matches your trademark. B, the current holder has no legitimate interest in it, and C, it was registered and used in bad faith. And you gotta prove all three of these things, not just 2 out of 3, and unfortunately you can't just say, come on guys, it's Barney. And this is where this gets insane, because Barney is a household name, so in your head you assume this is an easy slam dunk, but unfortunately, it wasn't that simple, because UDRP was designed to stop the obvious villain version of cyber squatting, like registering Disney.com with 2 Ys and then trying to ransom it back. It's for cases of pretending to be the brand or confusing consumers on purpose. But this case had like the nastiest angle possible. Barney Online expired and then got re-registered. So NetSphere's argument was basically, well, we didn't steal anything, it was available, we registered it. And from there, they started leading into these weird technicalities. Like, one of the defenses that got used in this case was, Barney isn't just a dinosaur brand, Barney can also be a name. It can be a surname, which like is insane, because yes, Barney is technically a name, but this is not Barney's genealogy hour. This is BarneyOnline.com, the official Barney site. It screams Barney, it smells like Barney, it's got Antron fleece embedded in the source code. But that's the whole problem. Once the judging panel starts entertaining the angle of, well, you did let it lapse, it becomes a question of whether Lions and Hit can prove to the court that this was under bad faith under the UDRP rules, even though it's obviously gross. And so, after months and months and months of fighting, Lions and Hit lose the case. Barney Online stays out of Barney's hands, and they would never get it back. So Hit pivots. They start pivoting people toward Barney.com as the new official base. Because, like, what else are you gonna do? You can't exactly put, please don't type the old one on the back of every toy already in stores. And here's where the story takes a dark turn. Because redirecting to a DNA testing site is honestly the best case scenario. According to how these domain portfolios are operated, the real nightmare is that these redirects aren't permanent. They can be swapped, rotated, monetized, changed whenever someone feels like it. So now imagine this. You've got this URL printed on the back of millions of Barney toys, VHS tapes, DVDs, treated as the official place that parents trust. And overnight, that link could point to literally anything. Any website. I don't need to spell out what that could mean. We actually got a modern reminder of how bad this could have been recently. So, toys for the new Wicked movie that were released had Wicked.com listed on the packaging, and when a few unlucky kids or adults went to that website, yeah, let's just say it wasn't anywhere in Oz. Now, thankfully this was a misprint and no one really goes to websites that are on dolls anymore, but back in Barney's era, they absolutely did. Parents typed URLs exactly as printed. Kids would memorize them. It was the internet boom. So now you've got a kids brand whose official link has turned into a roulette wheel controlled by people who collect expired domains like Pokemon cards with absolutely zero precautions or safeguards put in place. That is a ticking time bomb. And do you want to know what made this even worse? This happened all of the time. This was an era where brands were constantly getting their URLs yanked, typo snatched, expired and scooped, whatever, and then the law would basically tell them, well, you should have paid the bill. Budweiser had a whole case over Budweiser.com being used to divert traffic somewhere else. A lingerie brand called Bendon had a case where it was literally Netsphere and Campana again, and they straight up referenced the Barney situation as a similar fact pattern. They're coming for all the B names. So what happened to Netsphere? I hear you asking. probably. Well, Netsphere didn't just win the Barney fight right off into the sunset, because after the early 2000s, Netsphere got wrapped up in a much larger domain name war, with years of litigation involving massive domain portfolios, monetization schemes, injunctions, bankruptcy chaos, court-appointed receivers. The whole empire got dragged into court and had the curtain pulled back. So no, Netsphere didn't just get vanished and defeated. It actually got absorbed into the bigger domain grifter ecosystem, where this wasn't a weird one-off situation, but rather the business model. And the final lesson here, Deskies, is the most depressing one. The internet does not care how iconic you are, it cares whether your paperwork is clean. And if your paperwork isn't clean, even the lovable, huggable purple dinosaur can lose his own front door. We can throw this on the pile of the other many Barney-related legal messes, because apparently this brand just can't have a normal Tuesday. Jumping ahead a little bit, tragically, the Barney website would unfortunately shut down on June 26, 2018, with it now just redirecting to Mattel's website. So, pull one out for BarneyOnline.com. And also Barney.com. And that's how the Barney website was compromised. If you enjoyed this deep dive, let me know. I don't usually go this in-depth on Barney's legal woes, but there are actually a few other lawsuits tied to the brand if you want me to keep digging. If you enjoyed this video, you should consider subscribing. I do a lot of deep dives on the forgotten history of the Barney franchise and brand, so if you find this cool, you should click that button below this video. Speaking of which, you can also join the Deskies, where you get behind-the-scenes videos, early access, voting in polls, custom badges and emojis, access to a cool Discord server, and it's a great way to support the channel if you like what I do here. Huge shout out to my friend Polygon, who edited a part of this video. He's fantastic. He makes great stuff on Instagram, so you should go check it out. Tell him I sent you. As always, I've been the Barney Desk, and thanks for watching.